Hello art venturers, welcome to my second video. So yesterday I posted my first one and the theme was trees and portals. For today we're exploring a combination of trees and lanterns. This one was a bit more challenging than the first one because I didn't just want a simple tree with lanterns hanging from it or lights above or below the tree. I wanted the tree itself to become a lantern, all while maintaining its recognizable form, of course, but this was very tricky to merge the two ideas without losing the essence of the tree. As you can see, I'm trying many different ways to incorporate the lantern with the tree. The design process was really important for this one, especially at the beginning. I wasn't sure how to make the lantern concept fit. When I drew it in the black sketchbook, one of the lanterns I drew felt completely off. You'll see it later in the video. I rushed it and as always, and when I looked at it later in my sketchbook, I hated it, so I covered it with a piece of paper and started over with a design I was happier with. So at least we had a happy ending. After doing some research, I found some really inspiring references. As you can see in a moment, I found these beautiful Japanese stone lanterns, which I loved, and these helped me bring in the everything together and find the right balance between the tree and the lantern, making sure the magical feel of the piece stayed intact. This one is the lantern I'm talking about. I love it. And I'm really pleased with how it turned out. I hope you enjoy watching this process. It was challenging but also rewarding. So let's dive in. Now, I have to confess something. I don't have footage of the first tree lantern I drew because, well, I was still figuring things out. I was recording with my phone. I'm recording with my phone. And surprise, surprise, it ran out of memory while drawing, and I didn't find out until it was too late. Classic rookie mistake, right? So, yeah, I lost some part of the process, but trust me, you didn't miss much. That first lantern was a bit of a disaster. It's the one I was talking about before. It ended up looking more like a heart than a tree, so that one definitely had to go. It's the one I covered with a piece of paper. You'll see it later in the video. So I tried again. I'm much happier with it, and it's just a bad memory now. As I said before, it's all about trial and error. Even if it's a little messy at first, I hope I learn and improve as I go. And hey, at least now I'm always checking my phone's memory. Moving on to the new pink lantern. For this one, I took inspiration from those beautiful trees that seem to merge into one, creating these arching shapes. I wanted the lantern to feel like it was part of the tree, almost as if the roots and the branches themselves were forming the structure of the lantern. It's like the tree is embracing the magic inside. At first, I had some trouble with the lighting. Getting the glow to look right was a bit tricky, but then my white pen came to the rescue. It gave me more control over the rim light, helping to define the glow and make the edges pop without losing the softness of the light. It's such a small tool, but it made a big difference in making the lantern feel magical and illuminated. Even though I was happy with this pink lantern, I still felt like something was missing. I didn't quite have that full sense of light radiating from it. I wasn't sure about giving the aura effect another chance. It was one of those decisions I hesitated on at first, but towards the end of the video you'll see that I come back to it, and I'm so glad I did it. Turns out I just had to trust the process and let my instincts guide me. I think that little bit of extra light made all the difference, and it's exactly what the lantern needed to look better. I have to say I absolutely love the shapes of the bark on this tree. There is something so organic and satisfying about it, and I've really enjoyed capturing that texture. It's been a fun challenge to replicate it with gouache, especially since all of this is so new to me. Not just working with gouache for the first time, but also experimenting with black paper. Using this kind of paper is such a different experience. I didn't want to add a glowing halo effect around the lantern at first. I was worried it might be too much or take away from the clean look I was going for. But when I finally decided to try it, I realized that it actually added something special. With a bit of white pen magic, I could create a subtle glow with a little bit of tiny light spots inside the halo. Those little highlights made all the difference. It felt like the light was softly radiating from the lantern, giving it that extra touch of magic. It's funny how sometimes the most unexpected decisions can bring everything together. Okay, so here is the part where I cover up the lantern I didn't like. It was a bit painful, honestly. I did about 4 different versions of the lantern before I settled on one that worked for the tree. It's tough when you invest time in something, but in the end, you have to admit when something just isn't working and move on. So I used some double-sided tape to stick a piece of paper over the original, and well, let's just say it felt like a let's start fresh moment. After sticking down the paper, I went straight to drawing on top of it. I have to say, I'm really happy without these paper handles wash. Even though the paint is wet, the paper doesn't crinkle or warp, which was such a relief. It really holds up well, and I was able to work on the new lantern design without worrying about the paper getting ruined. I think that's one of the joys of creating art, figuring out how different materials work together and how they react. This paper was a great choice, and it made this part of the process so much smoother than I expected. Now, since this is a travel journal, it's important to document not just the art, but also the stories behind the elements Luna the adventurer finds. And today she's going to share the tale of these magical lanterns. There are 4 types of magical lanterns, each one glowing in a different color, and each with its own unique power. First, we have the yellow lantern. This one is used to find hidden magical objects, things that might be invisible to the eye unless you have the right light to reveal them. Next, the pink lantern. This one is really interesting, and personally it's my favorite because it reveals the true form of certain animals. Some magical creatures hide under the guise of common animals, and only the pink light can uncover the real shape. It's kind of like a magic filter for the natural world. Then we have the blue lantern. This one is really important for guiding travelers. You'll often find it in strategic places where it marks hidden paths or traces that would otherwise remain unnoticed. It's like a guide to secret places, helping explorers find their way through unknown terrain. And finally, we have the green lantern. This one is all about revealing the presence of magical creatures like fairies and gnomes. If you're ever in a forest and you feel like something is watching you, the green lantern will show you where these little magical beings are hiding. So, each of these lanterns serves a special purpose, and as Luna the adventurer explores new worlds, these lights will guide her in different ways. It's important for her to remember that every color means something, and every lantern can unlock a different mystery. We're almost at the end of this video, and before we wrap up, I wanted to point out something really cute. To help give a sense of scale for the lanterns, I added a tiny little character. It's always fun to add these small details that give you a sense of just how big or small these magical objects really are. Now it's just the final touches left, the little details, the writing, the personal notes. It's these things that make each piece feel like it's part of an ongoing adventure. Thanks so much for following along with me on this magical journey. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any future adventures. And as always, everything I used to create this drawing is listed in the description below. I hope to see you in the next one tomorrow. Happy drawing adventures. Bye!